Today is Wednesday, July the 6th, 2011. I'm Matthew T.G.
I'm Steve Stanley.
I'm Heath the Mulligan.
And I'm Tony Casey. The Technology Show, weekly podcast.
Ladies, stay back.
Technology, theology, and everything in between. The world's only
He's spoken for.
Antagonistic podcast. This is episode.
He's a married man. Leave him alone.
15. What happened to us there on the show?
He's been passing out the pills.
Heath, welcome back, man.
So good to be back. Both weeks, I thought I was going to be able to get in and just did not have the Verizon Wi-Fi capabilities to do so. So I apologize. And you had two of the best shows ever without me. Two great guests.
Well, it wasn't quite.
We're not saying it's our best ratings, but they're pretty high. And you forgot your hat. You got a brand new hat when you were in Wisconsin, and you forgot to bring it.
I did wear my new Wisconsin shirt, but I had the cheese head in my hand.
Here, I have a picture of it right there.
There it is. There it is.
Yes.
Yes. And I've never been more proud of Heath. But when I saw that picture,
I kind of felt like who's it, King Agrippa, when Paul's talking to, and he's like, "Whoa, do you think in such a short amount of time you could?" So I'm like, they haven't quite converted me to a Green Bay Packer fan yet, but.
Yeah, we're working on it.
What a great, I told Tony, I love that they don't have any humidity. He said, go back in January. I said, good point. So,
all right.
Yeah, all the humidity turns white and lands on the ground. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, we want to welcome in studio this morning our good friend and colleague in ministry, Greg Edmonds.
Hello,
Greg, good having you.
It's good to be here.
Greg is missionary to Haiti, and we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking with him today. We're not going to have the normal format of our show. There'll be no download of the week, nor will we have They Said It. So we want to spend the bulk of our time with Greg. And also, we want to spend some time with another guest that we have via the Skype line. That's Jeremy Gertis. He is the pastor of Deborah Heights Wesleyan Church in Des Moines, Iowa. Good morning, Jeremy.
Oh, no.
Fail.
Oh, he's back. Okay. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning.
Yes. There we are. And we're going to be talking to Jeremy in just a moment about something that came out last week, Google+. Before we do that, Matthew, why don't you explain to our listeners how they can join us in the chat room today?
Okay, now there's not a camera on me, so just listen closely for instructions, everybody. If you'd like to get into the chat room to ask questions of Greg later on in the show, you can do so by heading over to our website. You've got two options. You can go to thetechnologyshow.com/live, and there you can watch the show, and there's the Ustream chat right next to that. However, if you would prefer to use an IRC client, there is some setup instruction for you there at thetechnologyshow.com/live right at the top of the page that you can use to set up your IRC client. We've got Steve set up in the studio this morning on the IRC client. He is going nuts with a little Bluetooth keyboard, an iPad, and IRC 999, the Japanese IRC client. How you like it?
Which would be 666 if you stood on
Oh,
exactly.
No.
But he's in there. Anyways, it's nice. So you can do that. Also, be sure to remember you can now watch this show on. I want to just use the word plethora because it's so underused in this world. A plethora.
This is like that show yesterday with Christiane Amanpour on ABC. She used the word perspicuous, and they had to put it up on the screen, up on the Chiron, breaking it down syllable by syllable and what it means.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Did you say I have a plethora of pinatas?
Our little Matthew's using such big words now.
A plethora of devices.
I hope they're not
mobile devices.
Shouldn't be used on the air. We're not going to get
television
fined.
devices. I'm done talking now. Let's get into the show. Jeremy, we're happy to have you with us because, well, you have been recently just a very faithful listener and viewer of the show. And see, this is what you get just for those of you in our chat room who are listening now. If you're faithful and you do nice things for us, we get you on the show. And Jeremy sent us invitations to Google Plus, which we've been playing around with. It came out later last week. And Jeremy, you are pastor at Deborah Heights Wesleyan in Des Moines, Iowa, graduate of Oklahoma Wesleyan University in 2002, and an attender of, at least I know, the most recent Google I.O. conference. Have you been to any of the others?
Actually, I've been to 3 of the 4.
3 of the 4.
Wow.
So
Oh,
how
see,
did you get the invite to that?
Well, I've been doing a lot of web development on the side, and as part of that, I got hooked in with a number of Google APIs, such as the Search API, the Feeds API, and that kind of stuff. And they gave me the official title, I guess, of Google API Guru. And so I got a little invite to come special.
Neat. So
Special.
So just this is totally taking another track than what we really want to go down here. But are there any APIs that we need to figure out how to implement for this show that maybe we're not aware of right now?
What, for this show?
Oh no, we had such a good connection.
I suspect there'll be a Google Plus API. Otherwise, I always recommend that people check out the Maps API because, well, it's just a phenomenal tool to locate stuff like churches.
We don't want people to know where we are, though, Jeremy. That's the thing. So we're not going to implement that API. So we're in a secret location. This is like
high
Camp
mountain
David right
bunker.
here.
They blindfolded me and drove me in.
All right, so let's turn to Google Plus. Just for a second, take a minute to share with us and tell us just a little bit about what is Google Plus.
Well, Google Plus is Google's latest foray into the social network space. It's really designed to take on Facebook and Twitter to a lesser extent. It's kind of the culmination of a number of other technologies that Google's been working on, and it's really designed to connect people. That's what it's all about.
Okay, so basically a social network based off of Google's technology. I noticed they've rolled in a lot of. It seems like they've been putting this together for a long time because all the pieces of the puzzle. It's like came together for Google Plus. So, for example, Picasa, their image service, Google Buzz, and Google Profiles, all of that just all of a sudden just seemed to be grouped into the same place really nicely. And now they've put the puzzle together and they've got that laid out in that same way. Would you say that it's a Facebook challenger, a Twitter challenger, both, or something else?
I would really say that this is Google's answer to Facebook. They've been working on it for some time, and they've seen limited success in the social networking arena so far, but this is really Google's answer to Facebook. And I think it's the first time that they've actually had something that has the legs to run down Facebook. It's just a question of whether they'll let it run long enough to get it done.
Okay.
I noticed, Jeremy, that on tech shows I listen to Buzz Out Loud, I also listen to Tech News Today, and boy, tech people are really, really high on this, and they want to see this thing rolled out to the public. We have any idea when Google's going to roll this out to everybody?
I do not. I've been trying to talk to the friends that I have at Google and see what they have for ideas on that, and they're all very, very tight-lipped on it. I am really hoping that it'll be sooner rather than later, because if anybody knows how to scale something, it's Google, but at the same time, I know that they're committed to not rolling things out to the wide public until it's ready.
Yeah.
So.
Boy, I remember back when I got my first Gmail account, how long it took to find somebody to send me an invite to that, when they first started providing that. So what do you think it'll take for Google Plus to really be a contender? Because the reality is Facebook is the Goliath in this arena of social networking. What will it take for Google Plus to be able to challenge that?
I think that it really has to have 2 or 3 different things going on all at the same time. The first one is it's got to be reliable. I think we've all had moments where Facebook has been less than reliable. Second off, I think that they're going to have to get it released to the public here fairly soon so that it doesn't lose the interest that's been going on so far. A couple of years ago, you might remember Google Wave.
Yep.
They launched this amazing product. I was sitting in the keynote when they announced this thing, and all of the developers in there were just going crazy because it was going to revolutionize everything. And it died a quiet death because they didn't get it rolled out to the wide public in time, and it lost the momentum.
Yeah, so it really is a challenge. I mean, when I think about that, it reminds me of like what Nintendo does. So like with the Nintendo Wii, just is a totally different concept, but same general principle here. There's a demand and a short supply, which keeps that going. If you can balance that right, that's a good thing. Hey,
you know what's ironic? You guys were talking about Facebook. The number one user on Google Plus right now, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And they were talking about it, and people were like, I can't believe that. And Mark Zuckerberg, I guess he was tweeting back and forth with like a tech guy. He's like, why are people so surprised I have a Google account or Google Plus account? He's like, just because I own Facebook doesn't mean.
Yeah, but Facebook did shut down. They had this thing that you could port all your contacts from Facebook to Google Plus.
Yeah.
Facebook shut that down.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah. So.
Yeah.
Facebook was very protective of the data that you put into it. They don't like to share it with anybody.
Yeah, but the thing is that we share it with them, and then they become, you can't have this back, Well, give us your data.
Yeah,
and now you can't touch it anymore.
Yeah, Molly Wood of Buzz Out Loud, her point's exactly that, TG, that this is my data. It's mine. I let you use it. I ought to be able to port it, and you shouldn't be able to just cut me off from that. But, Jeremy, I guess with Facebook, their argument is this is the way we make our money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think they'd say it in 20 words, but that's what it is, yeah.
Right, yeah, practically speaking.
What are some of the advantages? Like, why would somebody who's on Facebook, who's been using Facebook for a long time or whatever it is, when Google Plus has finally opened up, what would be the advantage that's going to draw somebody away from that network to Google Plus?
Well, since we already raised the subject, one of the first ones is that Google has a service called Takeout, which allows you to export everything that you put into Google Plus out and take it wherever you want it. The other thing is the circles. I'm really getting to enjoy what they call circles, and that's basically where you add different contacts and friends to different groups, and then you can sort the entire feed by these groups versus Facebook, which just puts everybody that's in your friend list all on one page.
I think you can also choose who to share with those circles. So, like, say, it's basically like, I think they set you up with 3 default ones: friends, family, and acquaintances, I think, are like the 3 default. And so you put people in it. And then if you decided, well, this is something that I just want to share with my family, you can set it up that way. There is a way to do that with Facebook, I've found, but it's a complicated setup process. And the beauty of what I've seen so far in Google Plus is the ease of creating those circles. It's this beautiful interface of dragging things into circles and getting them together. It's really nice.
Yeah, Google's been working a lot with HTML5, and that's what's really enabling them to do that. It's pretty slick.
All right. Well, Jeremy, just real quick, how can people find out more from you if they want to follow you, Twitter, whatever it may be? How can they find out more from you?
Well, I'm on Twitter at twitter.com/jgerdes. That's JGEERDES. Facebook also. You can send me a friend request there. I'm on Google Plus if you want to check me out there. And otherwise, if you're in the Des Moines area, drop by our church. We'd love to have you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy. Jeremy's going to hang with us for the remainder of the show. If you have any questions throughout the show, Jeremy, just jump right in. I want to turn our attention to our good friend and colleague, Greg Edmonds. Again, pleasure to have you here, Greg. Let's jump right in. You're here to talk to us about Haiti. For those that don't know you, may not know your story, when did you first go to Haiti? And I put it this way: how did Haiti get on your radar screen to the point where you became involved and now are a missionary there?
I guess our involvement started out in short-term missions trip. We took a short-term mission trip back in 2009, January, to Haiti, and it was at that point that the people of Haiti just kind of grabbed hold of my heart. And Heidi and I began praying later in 2009 what the Lord would have us to do, that next step of obedience and ministry. And we prayed about it and really felt like missions was where we were supposed to be. And we approached Global Partners, said we don't know where we're supposed to go. We know the Lord's saying overseas. And they prayed about it, we prayed about it. And in November, we were appointed as missionaries to Haiti. And then, as everyone knows, 2 months later in January of 2010, when the earthquake hit, it just further solidified that was where the Lord needed us, and that's where our heart was.
Now, where do you serve in Haiti right now? And just give us a feel for what your responsibilities are.
We serve on the island of La Gonave. If you look at Haiti as the backward sea, then there's the island out in the middle of that backward sea is La Gonave, and we serve on one of the Wesleyan compounds that is located on the island, and it kind of runs support for the Wesleyan hospital that's located on the island. And I'm the station manager, kind of overseeing maintenance, the construction projects that we have going on. And I think we'll maybe discuss in a few minutes is one of those is the new hospital that will begin, Lord willing, this November.
Now, Greg, kind of go back a little bit before 2009, because you were very involved when Hurricane Katrina hit. And you took probably more than 10 mission trips down to Kenner, Louisiana. How do you think that whole, your story to me is just a testimony of what God does. So can you kind of start from the beginning, because of how, I don't want to give away the ending, but how you started out, you got your builder's license, mm-hmm. and then
let him take it from there.
And then there you go from there.
Back in 2006, looking back, I really feel like that was the time the Lord wanted us to make a transition in ministry. And my heart was already in missions. We'd taken probably 15 or more mission trips at that time. And I said, well, Lord, I can do construction and lead mission trips. Mm-hmm. And so I saw Lord's direction, and I decided to go that way, and instead of waiting on His clear direction. But as I got my builder's license, I spent 2006 through 2008 doing residential construction. And during that time, Hurricane Katrina hit. We ended up spending, I think, 7 weeks down in Viola Battery, Kenner, doing disaster relief trips, and just continued that over 2008, continued to do disaster relief trips to other places. And really had been praying, Lord, what do you want us to do? I'd love to do disaster relief full time. I'd love to do missions full time. And only the Lord knew that when He led us to Haiti that He would combine the two, that we'd be doing full-time missions work in a place that had suffered one of the worst disasters in recent times.
Right.
All right. I thought he had a follow-up there. You mentioned the hospital a moment ago. Let's talk about that a little bit. I know we have some pictures here, and as you're discussing it, we'll show these pictures. Talk a little bit about the present hospital and then what you're building now.
Yeah, the current hospital, it was constructed somewhere around 1960, 59, 60, and is in very bad shape. After the earthquake, they didn't use the building, and then some engineers said that it's safe to be in, so they did move back inside. So they're still using that. When you walk in the hospital, one of the first places we take people on a tour is to the operating room. And one of the first stories I heard was that in the operating room, the operating room table is so old the brakes didn't work anymore. And they said oftentimes while you were doing a surgery, if you put too much pressure or bump the table might begin moving around the room. And so the equipment in the hospital is heavily outdated. The sterilizing unit is from the Vietnam War.
Oh my goodness!
I've seen that thing. It can run off. It can be wood burned. Like you could burn wood. It's autoclave to clean and sanitize the equipment and the instruments. You can run it off wood. So build a fire in that thing.
Yeah. Being a mobile mass unit, they said it can run off gas, diesel, wood, natural gas, coal. It was 7 or 8 things that it could be operated off of. But the one of the things before you step into the operating room is the scrub sink, and I don't know that I included a picture of the scrub sink, but it's a plastic utility sink, and it looks like you've used it in a butcher shop. It's just covered in nastiness. And when I took Heidi down for her first visit in October, as we were standing right in front of the scrub sink, I stepped down to stop, and I crunched something under my feet, and I looked down, and there was a trickle of water coming out, and there was a hermit crab inside the hospital in front of the scrub sink and playing in the water from the scrub sink. So that gives you an idea of some of the conditions.
Oh my goodness.
So, how is the hospital you guys are constructing now? How's this work getting done?
Lord willing, we will begin November, December clearing the property, and we're going to rely heavily on local labor. They're still finalizing some of the plans, and the latest plans that we've heard of. Let me back up. Before the earthquake, they had a plan in place for another concrete structure building, and after the earthquake, they completely scrapped that and went back to the drawing board. And the engineers are from Scotland who are drawing this up, and they are designing it to the highest seismic and hurricane regulations that can be followed. And so when they finish this up, then we'll kind of have a better idea. The last I heard is that they're considering a steel structure, and then the walls would be concrete block at that point.
Now, are you going to be looking for work teams to come down and to do the construction of this? How is that going to happen?
Yes, and right now the new hospital, the current plans call for it to be built on the site of our old guest house, and so what we started in February was building the new guest house so that we can demo the old one. And so as soon as the new guest house is finished, we'll be tearing down the old guest house and starting the construction on the new hospital. And yes, we need teams from everything from land clearing to metal work to laying block, concrete work, you name it. We can use teams with that experience.
So if someone's listening today and this piques their interest, how can they stay plugged in, know where they are in the project, and at what point they're going to start bringing teams down?
Yeah, the best way, one of my responsibilities is to be project manager over the new guest house and the hospital, and so the easiest way would be for them to get in touch with me, to send me an email at gpedmonds, EDMONDS, @juno.com, JUNO.com.
The pictures we saw just a moment ago, I would imagine those are, it's the guest house, the new guest house.
I have new construction pictures. I didn't get any hospital pictures out of the folder. There weren't any in there.
Yeah, that's all we have there. This is the new guest house here.
Yeah, this was some of the early on work on the new guest house. Most days that we were working out on the new guest house, we had anywhere from 36 to 46 Haitian men working with us. It was with unemployment being 70 to 80%. I've heard as low as 70%. I've heard as high as 80%. The men were lining up to come and work. And we paid for what North Americans would say we wouldn't even work for that per hour, but that's a daily rate down there. And it was the men were I was thoroughly impressed with their work ethic and just how quickly they picked up on the work we were doing.
Yeah, and the reality is you got people there. I mean, native people that are skilled. They beautiful. One of the things that impressed me so much was just walking through town and guys that just they basically were small businesses run right out of their home, particularly the guys that did woodwork and carved doors and furniture and things like that. It's just absolutely incredible.
If I could, I'd like to share the picture that they're currently showing, the man standing on the right in the white shirt. His name is Fritz, and some who follow us on Facebook, they may have heard the story, but Fritz is my yes man. He's spent some time in the States, he's an excellent English speaker, and so I used him as my translator for a lot of the early on work in the project. And Fritz, he would be, as I said, my yes man. If I needed him, I'd look at him across the project and wave for him. He would come running and translate for me. And well, Fritz, I left the island for August 14th and came back on the 18th. And when I arrived back, the first thing I heard was they said, Greg, Fritz has been stabbed 9 times. He's in the hospital. And so I went over and just saw him, and thankfully he was fine. But I got to talk to him, and I said, well, what happened, Fritz? And he said, Pastor Greg, for my birthday last Saturday, some guys took me out drinking, and said we got in some trouble. And after we left the bar, those guys went one way, I turned and went the other way. And he said the guys jumped me and stabbed me 9 times and left me in the street to bleed to death. And thankfully, some other people found him, got him to the Wesleyan Hospital, and and he's fine now. Even before I left, he was on the job site still working. Oh, wow. And but I want to tell you, Fritz is one of those guys. He's got the knowledge of the gospel, but he's one of those projects I'm working on. I like having him around. Just great guy, fun to be around, but that I can make a difference in him. Right. Some people would say, well, how is building a guest house ministry? It's ministry if you're ministering to the guys that you're working hand in hand with.
And I think that's a very important thing. You're not sitting in a compound, calling people to come in and doing services. You're actually down in there working at the same level, doing the same job that people are doing. And wouldn't you say that even here in the States, this is an important thing that we can't be elevated to some place that basically removes us. I don't want to change topics too much, Greg, but I would love to have you tell the story about the hospital's funding. And a little bit about why Loganov needs this new hospital. We know it's old and all of that, but just the reality of that being the hospital for this entire island, what it takes to get there, how they realized we've got to make a new, we've got to build new, and who's funding that. That's just such a great story.
The island of Loganov has approximately 100 to 120,000 people living on it, and the Wesleyan Hospital is the only hospital for the entire island. And so patients come from hours away. I mean, I've made a 20-mile trip before, and it took over 2 hours to get there, and that was a short trip from some of the mountain regions, or compared to some of the mountain regions. But this hospital is so desperately needed on the island because of that. There are a couple of other remote clinics on the island, but no other place where you can get hospital treatment, surgeries, and the like. But the funding is coming primarily from a man from Scotland. Our mission director, Dan Irvin, was in his house one day a couple of years ago, and someone came to him and said, there's some guy walking around the hospital and we don't know what he's doing. And it turned out to be a man from Scotland named Justin Dowds. And Justin is one of those passionate Christians who came to Haiti very reluctantly to see a Compassion International child that he was sponsoring. And while he was there, he said, well, we're helping to feed this child. We're giving it education. We're taking care of minor health issues. But if something major happens to this kid, what's going to happen to him? Are we doing it in vain? And so he found the hospital. He saw the conditions of it. And within the last 2.5 years, he went back to Scotland. They're a nonprofit that he was working for at the time. They began raising funds. One of the things he did was he hiked to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro and raised 129,000 pounds for the project. And to date, when they converted it over from pounds to dollars, they're somewhere around 600,000 that has already been raised for the hospital. Now the goal, because it's in a Caribbean region and because diesel is so much and we have to run generators, is to make a lot of the hospital solar. And so that's greatly increasing the cost of the project. And so they would like to do that. And so they're still in desperate need of more funds. One large grant that would have doubled that they had applied for last year did not go through. And so that put us back needing to raise a considerable amount more. And we don't want it just to be the people from Scotland raising funds on this. We as North Americans, this is and as Wesleyans especially, this is our hospital ministering to the people on this island.
And they've given the church church is such a wonderful gift because I mean he's not really asking for anything in this. Not a Wesleyan guy.
No.
Really
No.
just saw the need and said, I want to help. You all have already started this. Not build a. I mean, because it's so interesting to me because he could have come and said, well, obviously this hospital's is not doing too well. Let's just start a new one on the other side of town or whatever it is. And instead, let's work with what's already happening here and give in a very selfless way. It's absolutely a beautiful thing. And you were telling me that if you are able to get all that solar stuff done, that would really put that hospital on that island as a unique, one-of-a-kind, no place else like it in the world, much less Haiti, as far as hospitals are concerned.
Yeah, that was at the time of 3 or 4 months ago. They were saying that their goal was to get to be 100% solar, and they said at the time there's no other hospital in the world that is completely solar, and so that's a dream, but that's a long way away in finances.
Yeah.
Now you said you still need a considerable amount of money. What kind of money are they looking at?
Well, to make it completely solar, they were looking at about $1.2 million for the complete project.
So basically, you need about an additional $600,000 where they are right now.
That was numbers I heard back in January, February.
Okay.
Now, if people want to donate to that, how is there a way they can do that online, or where could they do that?
Yeah, I probably need to get that back to you. I didn't foresee that question and get that, but I'm sure at the Wesleyan at Global Partners website, I'm sure they have a fund set up for that.
Right.
And the best may be to go to www.wesleyan.org, go to Global Partners page, and under their projects, they should have something set up for that.
Yeah, you see, because we had alternate reasons for bringing Jeremy on the show today, too. We knew that if we could start talking about $600,000, he'd probably jump right in there and offer to say, hey, hi, that's me, man, I got you.
Just cut us one line item in your budget.
That's funny.
Greg, let's talk a little bit about Haiti in general. I know that it's not like you've been there for a long duration, but you're beginning to know the country a little bit, certainly your region, and you're beginning to see the church in the context of Haiti. Talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges to ministry there. Also intermingle with that maybe some of the things that do encourage you.
We arrived December 29th, and then we came home early June for our home ministries. We will be returning August 11th, and so, some of that is stuff I guess I'm still starting to fill out and learn about the church.
Yeah.
I do know there were some great strides made last year when a new district national superintendent was elected. Just seems to be a very godly man, and Pastor Doucette just seems to be the leader that is needed right now to help the church take those next steps. One of the challenges in Haiti is that missionaries have been there for so long. We should have already been able to step aside and be just the brother looking over the shoulder, helping when needed. And that's where Pastor Dan Irvin has his vision now is to get the mission work in Haiti to the point where we can just step back and be the support role. And it hasn't got there yet. The earthquake he had a 10-year plan, and then the earthquake happened, and I don't know what that has become now.
Earthquakes can.
Right. So the biggest need right now is just for the national leadership to begin to, I guess, take more of the responsibility and to show a healthy national church.
Yeah.
I found I'll be putting the link in the chat room and in the show notes, but it's just wesleyan.org/GP/projects. You select Haiti, and then it has a special link for the Loganov Hospital project.
Good.
And I just think, to me, ever since I became a Wesleyan, when I was a student at Southern Wesleyan, Haiti has always been kind of one of our strongholds. I mean, when the earthquake hit, we were feet on the ground, and I feel like what you guys are doing there, that's, I guess it's a source of pride for me, is that, our denomination is at the forefront of everything that's happening down there. About how many since you've only been there since what, October or November?
December.
So how many teams, like already, how many teams, like how many people have come through and been working with you guys?
Just since we've been there, we're probably averaging 3 teams a month coming to Laganav. So we've probably had anywhere from 13 to 15 teams on Laganav. In addition, the teams that are coming to and staying in Port-au-Prince to help rebuild the Wesleyan churches that were destroyed in the earthquake. There's been, I would say, probably 8 to 10 teams like that. So we've had up to 30 teams already, probably between 22 and 30 teams already this year in Haiti. And the response from North American Wesleyan churches to the earthquake damage to help rebuild the Wesleyan churches has just been incredible. But there's still great need. So
talk about that a little bit. I know my grandparents were missionaries in Haiti too, and not every team that came was helpful. Some were more tourists living off of you. Yeah. What are some of the things, I mean, just talk honestly, what are some of the things that aren't helpful that Americans do when they come, and maybe then go back to, but I really do want you to hit that what's not helpful, and then go back to what is helpful. What are some things that really are standout things? You mentioned a couple when you spoke in our church here a couple of weeks ago that make a team a standout team.
Well, with us just being there this short time, so far we've had excellent teams. Maybe by this time next year I could tell you a better list.
Wait a minute, we're coming in January. Is that the one you're back?
Yes, Dave's team will provide the bad example. Yeah.
Get back to me in February, and I was but no, it's the teams that come in and are flexible. Because Haiti is a country that you never know what's going to happen. For instance, one Monday morning, I needed to go get bags of cement just at 5 minutes away, and on the trip there, I ran into a riot mob because of the presidential elections. And so, I mean, I stopped where I was. They passed 100 yards in front of me down the road, and then I went to where I needed to go in no trouble.
Now wait, I thought you were going to tell us you started rioting, just so you know.
I thought he said he was running for president.
That's what the riot was over. All
right. Have you heard though of other missionaries? If you don't want to speak or haven't had the experience, what are the things the other missionaries who've been there longer refer to? I know when you get together, you tell horror stories. I mean, one of the horror stories from my grandparents' days was a church back here in the States. And it wasn't a poor church. I mean, we knew the people, and I could tell you what state they were from, and could tell you the people's names that were affiliated with the church then, that sent a large box, which we had to pay duty on, of used tea bags to them.
What?
And, because there's always that second cup in there somewhere.
That'd be a fun one to get through customs.
That's nasty.
I promise there's nothing hidden down inside these tea bags.
That's why you're always asking me for my tea bags. Wow, Steve, I had no idea.
Okay. But I know missionaries talk about those things. What are some of the things, if mission teams are coming, what are the things they need, the big things they need to hear? Don't mess up here, because it not only spoils your usefulness to us, it actually sets us back because people are watching you.
Yeah, now one of the biggest rubs that I've heard before we arrived were teams that would come in, and as they went down the streets, riding in the back of a truck or whatever, they felt like they were in a parade, and they would start throwing candy out the side of the street. And it just, it's great because the kids flock to the car, and you're the great blah that has come to town. Mm-hmm. But then when you're gone, and I, as the one who lives there, have to walk down that street, and I get mobbed asking for candy or handouts. Right. That's one of the biggest things is giving, the way that things are distributed that you bring to donate or to give away.
Can we say maybe this too is helpful? You probably wouldn't mention this, but a missionary's grandson could. That if they're children of the missionary, don't forget them. Bring them something of America. Bring them something too. And leave them something
that means when teams come and work with us, it's very meaningful because the help that they give is things that we can't do because we're so busy doing other things. But the teams that have really been a blessing, many of them will send an email ahead of time and say, what does your daughter like, or what do you need, or what do the other missionaries need, and so that is a huge blessing. And I tell you, the South Carolina team shine brightly when they came.
Yeah, I think that the mindset just has to be go in, serve, don't complain. Wake up and just choose that no matter how high or low the job may be that day, do it and love doing it.
Yeah, I would add this. I've led work teams, and I only had one bad experience as a leader, and I would say this. Decide before you sign up for a work team that you want to work. Make sure that's what you want to do. And if you want to go on vacation, don't go on to a work team. Go on vacation.
Yeah.
I had one work team where I had half the team that went for vacation, and it was frustrating for me, and it was frustrating for where we went, for the workers there in that country.
Right. Greg, tell us, I don't know if it's worldwide, but in America, we have a short attention span. It seemed like Katrina happened, and then we kind of moved on to the next thing. And it's like Haiti happened, and then we moved on from that to the tsunami in Japan, and because it's like out of sight, out of mind. Tell us the progress in Haiti. I think because we haven't heard much about it, it's not on the news every night anymore. We would assume, it's fine now. But I guess this is a two-part question: is what is the progress, and are they taking Haiti back to where it was, or are they trying to take it to where it needs to be?
Yeah, that's an excellent point for Haiti, because I remember watching the two or three nights after the earthquake. I was watching Anderson Cooper, and he said the infrastructure of Haiti has been destroyed. And I looked at Heidi sitting beside me, and I laughed because I had already been there on the trip, and I said, Heidi, there was no infrastructure before it happened.
Yeah.
That's right.
But the good thing is that the resolve of the people of Haiti is just incredible. I mean, you can ride around now, and if you didn't look at certain parts of the city where these 500,000 people are still living in tents, the tents being so dilapidated now that they're having to be covered in tarps, and you didn't see the occasional building that had not been cleaned up yet, you would never know anything had happened in that country, just because the people, even in, I think I went in January after the earthquake, I went in March, and then I was back in September, and by September, life was back to normal. I mean, it was a new normal, as I think Dan Irvin put it. It was a new normal, but it was back to a sense of normalcy. And you can, I mean, there's many places in Haiti now that if you didn't know that there was an earthquake, you would think, if you had been a year before the earthquake and you went now, you would not know that anything had happened.
Really?
But I don't know, the presidential election this past year was really big because everyone firmly believed that if the right person got in power, that they could help Haiti rebuild better than it ever was before. And they elected a musician who was very popular with the people, and Lord willing, he'll prove out to be a great leader if he can pull the right people around him, but that's still to be seen. The people are happy because the popular candidate won. But everyone is hoping and praying that he's the best man for Haiti.
Yeah. Right. Now, we've spent a lot of time talking about the physical condition of Haiti. How did the earthquake change the spiritual atmosphere? You hear about a lot of the voodoo and the witch doctors and stuff like that, but I've heard a lot of testimonies of Haiti really turning to Christ. What have you seen as far as that going on?
Yeah, early on I heard a lot of those same reports, and even and then it was, we didn't move there until end of 2010. But still, we occasionally will hear stories, and just in the last probably 2 months, we heard someone telling about that there's been a great number of voodoo, I don't know if you say priests or priestesses, that turned to Christ after the earthquake, and the phrase that they used was, they said, the power that shook the earth, the power we thought we had is nothing compared to the power that shook the earth.
Wow.
And so, I mean, just when God demonstrates His power, it had an effect on Haiti, and I really feel like spiritually it still is there and still has the potential to be something, a kind of a changing event for the country of Haiti.
Right. Wow.
All right. We started the show by talking about tech. I think we're going to end by talking about some tech. I have a video clip that we're going to play and talk about a little bit. Before we get to that, Greg, once again, for people who want to make contact with you personally, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
The easiest way would be email or Facebook. I'm on Facebook, and as is Heidi, my wife, Heidi Edmonds, and I think I'm listed as Gregory P. Edmonds. I think is it. It's not. There's one in Indiana, and this one's from South Carolina. So when people found me, they said this is the real Greg Edmonds.
Yeah. And you do excuse me, just to let people know, you do a great job keeping updated on Facebook. So, like, if you're wondering what's going on while Greg and Heidi are there in Haiti, Facebook is a great way to do it, because about once or twice a week, typically you'll put stuff up, just a kind of a latest thing, and it's very.
We know that the internet's a little bit spotty there, but we were able to pull you in via Skype one time, and that's always an open invitation whenever you have a message.
If you need a platform to come.
Okay. And do you guys also, you used to have a website. You still have your website up?
We do. We had some trouble getting into it because they kept changing our password for some reason. But so I didn't make any posts over the last couple of months we were there. But we've got to get better. We got there and got going and the things that needed to be done and got so busy. That's one of the things we've learned. When we go back, we have to set aside some definite time to communicate, because people are wanting to hear what is happening, and we want people to stay aware of what's going on, how they can pray, and how they can get involved.
Yeah. All righty. Well, again, thanks, Greg.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
We will keep our listeners up to date on you. Some of us love to talk tech. There's others of you out there that it's not so much. So just indulge us. We try not to overwhelm you. But I was listening to a tech podcast last week, and Andy Anako, he is Anako? Anako.
Miyagi.
He is with the Chicago Tribune, and he was just talking about what his own predictions of the future. This was a show that is dedicated to Mac, and so, this is a Mac user, and that will come across, but I just thought he threw out some great points for fodder for talking.
Let's think about the big picture stuff here. And I was shocked to realize that Apple, it seems unstoppable right now. There's certainly ways they can screw things up, but right now they seem unstoppable. Everything they're doing for the next couple of years looks rock solid. HP with WebOS, that looks really, really great. Again, it's going to be a building year this year, but in 2012, going to get a few more elements in place. It looks really good. I am actively excited about the stuff that Microsoft is doing with phones. I could see a time when if someone asks me what phone I should get, the answer will not be, well, you almost certainly want an iPhone. It will be, what do you want to do with it? And then the right question might certainly be Windows Phone 7.
I thought this was interesting from an Apple guy. I have
blasphemy.
I've gone to the Microsoft store.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a festering place over there.
You have drunk the Kool-Aid there, haven't you? Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I went to the Microsoft store twice. I was in Chicago, and I've played with Windows Phone 7, and it was just a really beautiful interface. Now, it's all about apps, things of that nature. I know that. But I'm more intrigued with Windows Phone 7 than I am with Android. So I like that user interface. And then also, he talks a little bit about HP's tablet that came out. The reviews on that, it gets high marks for its user interface, but here again, it's still a little bit buggy, and there are no apps.
Right.
And it's, so much of this is app driven. So
what are we trying to say here? There really is a dominant player right now. When will that change?
Yeah. Well, and Anarco thinks in 2012, he feels like mid-2012, he thinks the iPad, the iPad is not going to have a challenger. He thinks they have that sewed up. Mm-hmm. But if a challenger arises, he thinks HP is the company that may rise up.
I think.
I would agree with that.
You would agree with that, Jeremy?
Absolutely.
Why? Why do you say that?
Phenomenal.
Well, let me talk about that a little bit. Why have you played with it, or you just seen it on videos, reviews? What?
I played with it actually just a little bit the other day. They have a display at the local Walmart, and so I was messing around with it. I think that if anybody has the legs to run down iPhone and iOS, it's gonna be HP's WebOS. I've been fascinated with how it looks and runs since it first was released. But I think that as long as they continue to invest in it and as long as they continue to work with it, it's got some real potential.
Yeah, when you hear the whole conversation that they had on MacBreak Weekly and Anatko's comments, that's what he says, Jeremy, that given time, that he didn't feel like that their first out of the gate experience was going to automatically propel them, but he thinks by mid-2012 they're going to get bugs worked out, and so this is what he sees as a platform that may challenge iOS, not, now also in the context, he says not Android. He doesn't think it's Android, he thinks it's HP.
Well, they've talked now, and what I find interesting is that they've talked about licensing their operating system to other parties. Yeah. So in other words, another company could make a piece of hardware with that software on it. There's benefits and drawbacks to all of that, depending on how you go about it. I feel like Heath is about to jump in.
When I think of HP, I think of all the landfills in the United States filled with HP desktops. I had an HP desktop, and that thing was an utter piece of
You're
junk.
not going to want to hear this. I have an HP up in my bedroom right now. I bought that thing. I got it on the cheap.
I'm not sure. This is a general.
I got it on the cheap 3 years ago. That thing has been a great computer.
Yeah, well, they have improved their quality, but for anyone that had one of the older ones,
sure,
they were boat anchors.
At best, they really were.
Right. Well,
hey, Jeremy, I'm curious. Have you played with Windows 7 at all?
I have not played with it more than just poke at it for just a few minutes.
Let's stop here and ask, are you asking about the mobile Windows Phone 7
or
Windows 7, the OS?
Yeah, Windows Phone 7 is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
No, I haven't played with it more than just poking at it. My impression of it is I really like the interface.
Yeah.
The user interface is slick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's lacking a lot of features that Android and iOS already have and have had for a couple of years now.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Well, yeah, Microsoft, I mean, isn't this kind of the same old story? Microsoft is slow to the table on some of this stuff. And part of that is because enterprise is their moneymaker. So it's their Office package and it's their OS.
Well, unfortunately, with Windows Phone 7, they've completely forgotten the enterprise. They're lacking a lot of the features that are so attractive about Android and iOS that enterprise users have to have.
Sure. Yeah. I know with my iPhone, one of the things that Matthew set me up with right away was what's called Microsoft Exchange. I do everything through Gmail and my contacts with Gmail.
Google has
calendar.
an Exchange server for if you're on there, and that really is the way to go as far as the synchronization that it brings just across the board to everything. It's really so. Microsoft has some fantastic products. You're right, but they do seem to be centered in the business world.
Yeah. And their OS is, I mean, Windows is their business. And we ought not to forget that 92% of all computers that are running a Windows product, either XP, Vista, or Windows 7. So
I've seen some other interesting stats, though, that say that iPads are really eating into that market. So I wonder what it would be if you included iPads in there.
Yeah, but I mean, is an iPad? I still don't think an iPad is a production computing device. It is a consumption computing device, and there's a huge difference there.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree, but I'm saying that I've seen a lot of people that bought iPads instead of computers.
Yeah.
Especially Windows computers.
Yeah, well, and for some people who are basically doing email, they're surfing the internet, I mean, they don't need a full-blown computer. I mean, iPad is going to meet that need for them.
Well, iPad could cut into that market if they'd come up with a suite of products that have like Windows, Microsoft Office, something like that.
Yeah, but do you want a type of paper on the iPad?
Yeah, I would, because when you have your other books and so forth, there's a lot of times, and they use it like this at NTS. I probably saw half a dozen or more people just sitting there typing on the touchscreen.
Teach.
I was going to say there is a Office suite right now. Pages, Keynote, and Numbers as a word processing, PowerPoint, and I tell you, they're calling in the show this morning.
Yeah,
they're ready.
We're popular.
Hello, listener.
Yeah.
Mom.
Mom. All right. Well, it'd be something. I'll especially be interested to see what HP does. I was surprised by Anatko's, comments and where he feels like it's going. So time will tell. All righty. Again, we want to thank Jeremy for taking time out of his schedule today to be with us. Jeremy, thanks so much. And especially when we talk tech stuff, we'd love to tap you in the future if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, particularly with this in that you have with Google, I think that
we have it in with Google. I feel like we're 2 degrees from Google.
2 degrees.
And Greg, thank you for coming in studio today.
Thank you for having me.
Being with us, and you certainly are a friend of the show, a friend of this district, and again, I tell you that whenever you need a platform, we would love to be that platform if you need to get a message out. All right. Let me tell you what's coming up next week. Hey, get it on your calendar. There's no show.
I know. I get back in town, you're like, hey, by the way.
Yeah. So, again, no show next week on our district. All of us are part of the South Carolina district of the Wesleyan Church. We have conference coming up on Saturday, which leads right into...
And the hanging always follows.
Yeah. So we have this mourning time that we build, time of grieving. No.
The banners have to be made and the tanks have to be brought in for the parade.
We have our camp meeting, and actually Steve and I are doing a seminar next week, and once he figures out what we're doing, then we'll go ahead and tell you.
I thought a short course in Jehovah's Witness eschatology would...
Hello, I'm Jehovah's Witness, selling them way.
I was hoping you would do Book of Mormon archaeological finds.
We're very good.
Aren't you a funny...
We're actually doing social aspects of the gospel, how you can be faithful in that arena, yet be faithful to the salvific aspects of the gospel. So no show next week. Please get that on your calendars. We'll be back again on July the 20th. Matthew's not going to be able to be with us that week. He's going to be up at kids camp.
That's right. I'm going to be hanging out with children. Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
That's gonna... What?
What was that?
I didn't say that.
Nah, you think youth camp's where it's at. Kids camp is where it's at, man. Kids camp.
I'll be sending my kids to you that week.
Yeah, well.
July the 27th, get this one on your calendar.
Absolutely.
We have Dr. Steve Deneff and Dr. David Drury. They'll be with us to talk about their book, Soul Shift. Really looking forward to that. Be in the chat room where you can ask questions. Right here's the book. We have it right there. Can we see? Oh, yeah.
And we're going to be giving that away.
Yes, and I'll be signing it.
Wesleyan Publishing House.
Yeah, Wesleyan Publishing House is providing us one.
Is providing a copy, so be sure and be a part of that show.
I got to hear, I was at a family camp speaking for the youth, and Steve Deneff was one of the main speakers, and he was kind of talking. That was when they were kind of putting the book together, and it's good stuff. It is really good stuff.
Well, we'll close the show today by
they've got a trailer for the book. We'll play that at the end.
Yeah, so you can see that. August the 3rd, we have Dr. Bob Weitzel with us. He's going to be discussing his book, Waypoints. And then August the 10th, we'll have Matthew Duprez. He is going to be talking to us about intergenerational ministries. If you remember when we had Dr. Melinda Denton on the show, she talked about one of the things that their research was pointing to was the importance of getting generations in the church talking to one another. In the evangelical movement, we have sort of separated age groups. This has not been a good thing, and so Matthew's going to talk to us about some initiatives that they're doing. August the 31st, we're going to have Dr. Bob Cranston and Paige Cunningham. Bob Cranston is the author of the book Bioethics and Today's Christian, Finding Your Way Through the Morass of Today's Overwhelming Medical Ethical Dilemmas. He is a medical doctor from the Free Methodist Church. Also, with Paige Cunningham, she is the director of the Center for Bioethics. That is going to be a great show, and what we're encouraging out of that show is that churches get Bob Cranston's book. We've already talked, Wanda, Cody, and I are co-teachers of an adult Sunday school class, and we've bought the book, and this is something we want to do in the future. There's like 12 lessons that go with this, and I think it's going to be very informative. All right, Heath, where can our listeners find you?
They can find me at chaseyourline.com and heathmullican.com. Been gone for a couple of weeks, but about to hit the ground run on those things, and looking forward to getting back in the swing.
Steve.
They can find me at Twitter. At Old Suit. That's it.
Old suit, I believe.
Yeah.
O-L-S-U-I-T. At O-L-S-U-I-T.
And listen.
It's a total meltdown.
No.
It's so rare.
What I want to say to you is that if you don't like Twitter and you don't like receiving tweets, mine is the perfect one. I think since I signed up 3 years ago, I've put out a total of like 70-some tweets. You know, you just parse it.
I tweet about you more than you do.
That's right.
Matthew.
Oh, my word. All right, you can find me at MatthewTG.com.
All right, you can find me at Facebook.com/AKC64. Again, we thank Jeremy and Greg for being with us today, and encourage you to email us with any questions you might have at thetechnologyshow.com. If you want to contact us and leave a voicemail, we encourage you to do that. It's 3049 Theology. That's 304-986-5649. I think that I gave you the wrong email address. It's thetechnologyshow@gmail.com.
There we go.
I'm trying to figure out why Master TG was over here laughing.
I'm just dying over here. Yeah.
And then I figured it out. Again, we want to thank everyone in the chat room. You always make it fun. We appreciate that. What is he doing over here?
I'm just highlighting. He's highlighting our phone number. Please do it again.
Do it again.
There we go. Oh, yes.
Oh, beautiful. There we are. All right. For everyone,
White is among us. The spirit of Vanna White has come.
For everyone that listens live, for those of you that download the podcast and watch it later or listen to it later, thanks so much. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Y'all come back now, you hear?